boa tarde. Thank you to Project Syndicate for the opportunity for myself to be here on behalf of the Green Climate Fund. I'm really honored, and in fact I was a bit nostalgic as I was watching this video from Chile, because I remember traveling to Chile to visit the Atacama Desert and a geothermal power plant, and what an extraordinary landscape and what an extraordinary country. So I'm quite honored to join you all today in this event. I certainly share the sentiment of the President of Chile that Latin America is a crucial region, and I think we all know why. It is home to some of the world's most precious natural resources. The Amazon alone holds 40% of the planet's biodiversity and 20% of the forests. Latin America is also very vital to global food security. It holds 1/3 of the world's fresh water and 1/4 of the world's croplands. But as we all know, and we've also seen with the terrific video that was shown to us, the rising temperatures, the droughts, the floods, extreme weather events are really putting this natural wealth at serious risk. And then on the other hand, we know that the region is contributing only around 10% of the global greenhouse gas emissions, mainly, of course, from the agriculture, land use, and deforestation, but it's highly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. And the region, in terms of climate finance, and that's the work that I have been doing for quite some time, the climate finance flows to the region are really not commensurate with the urgency, with the needs, and many of the countries are actually being left behind. And at the same time, Latin America is really leading as well, and has another opportunity this year. Of course, with the G20, Brazil hosting the G20, we are seeing progress. We'll have the COP, Biodiversity COP, and next year the COP in Brazil as well. So the region has really an enormous potential to lead the world in renewable energy. It is already a leader in terms of renewable energy, on biodiversity protection, sustainable agriculture, and green jobs. And speaking of leadership, it is worth noting that 16 of the region's 33 countries have pledged to achieve net zero emissions before mid-century. Latin America already sources 65% of its electricity from renewable sources, with Brazil, Mexico, Chile, and Argentina boasting some of the world's best wind and solar resources. Countries are enhancing their climate commitments with a strong focus on protecting forests, wetlands, and grasslands. At the Green Climate Fund, and as probably many of you, if not most of you know, we were set up a decade ago to support the ambitions of developing countries in terms of climate investments. We are the largest multilateral climate fund globally in support of these objectives, and we have been investing significantly in the region. To date, we have committed nearly $3.7 billion for 58 projects, but not only that, and because we hear constantly about the need to build strong institutions, to the need to support strong policies, we have also invested almost $200 million in grant resources for those objectives. Just a couple of examples. One in Colombia, Heritage Colombia, which is a public-private partnership that will contribute 1/3 of Colombia's goal to protect and restore 20 million hectares of forests. But also another one just this year, an innovative private finance project across Brazil, Colombia, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, and Panama to transform financial service providers. So we are actually providing 75% of the equity finance to stand up a new fund, Quali Fund, that will invest in local financial institutions. We're talking about small banks, microfinance institutions, and cooperatives that leverage technology to deliver climate change mitigation and adaptation solutions. And our aim, because it's also a mandate of the Green Climate Fund, is to make sure that we empower a broader network of local institutions. We already have 17 national institutions accredited as our partners, and our goal is to broaden this network much further, because we all know the task is so big that we need to count with as much of a broad range of institutions and relevant institutions and institutions that are close to the communities and where the investments need to happen as much as possible. So we are quite proud of the work that is underway in the region, but we also all know the big calls of the reform of the climate finance landscape, ecosystem. We use very different, people use different terms. We all have to understand that our window of opportunity, and these are not my terms, these are somebody else's terms, is narrowing very, very rapidly. So if we continue to operate on a business as usual, we will not make it. We need to operate at a much larger scale. We need to operate at a much different pace. And therefore, the calls, and I'm not going to expand on all of the reforms that are being discussed in multiple fora, including the G20, but the calls for efficiency, for focus on efficiency and impact. We took this very closely, this objective, in GCF. And so 1 year ago, I was actually here in the UNGA and launched a vision for the fund, which we called 50 by 30, built on 4 pillars: supporting the most vulnerable, mobilizing private capital, streamlining our processes and systems, therefore driving significantly more efficient processes, and shifting from individual projects to large-scale programs and partnerships. And we are making progress. We have recently adopted a new organizational model. And we are making progress in terms of efficiencies in different processes. And our latest commitment is to make sure that projects from concept to board approval will happen in 9 months or less. This is quite significant. This is a big commitment because in general, in our community, in the climate finance community, these processes take way longer than this. So we see this partnership with Latin America as critical. We look forward to continuing to work with Brazil's G20 presidency, with Brazil in terms of COP30, with Colombia in terms of the biodiversity COP, and with the region and the multiple initiatives in the region to showcase this region's leadership in climate action and really push through the much needed urgent reforms of this climate finance ecosystem. And to end, because I know I've taken more than I was supposed to, I will leave you with a saying. In Brazil and Portugal, this is the country where I come from, we have this saying, and I know that there are some friends here from Brazil: unidos venceremos. And so this means united we will prevail. So my belief is that with determination and through our collective action, we will actually make this a reality. Thank you very much.